with that, we'll open our road and bridge meeting for June 18th, 2025, 10 o'clock. Present, we have all three commissioners. Mayor from Swan Valley, Idaho. Road and bridge and planning and zoning.
And solid waste.
Yes, it's.
It's all right.
Don't worry, I didn't forget about you.
I sure said
Under the
public
umbrella.
alone.
You're the butt end of the titles.
I ride the umbrella.
Well said. Said, well, let's start with you, Mayor.
Yeah, just coming back as asked and to get any updates or anything else that we found and what we can do next.
Did Mayor get the traffic studies? Or the
I think
result
we-
of the,
I don't think so yet, but
So
if so, I didn't see it and that's my bad.
so here's. Right here on the top, a little, this is a spreadsheet that's been created a while ago and it's talked about different gravel roads and rating them based on traffic and cars and houses. We did take a traffic count on Stoltenberg Lane.
Yep.
We got 97 vehicles is the average daily traffic on Stoltenberg.
that's not on Tuesdays, which is Catfish Day at the Roadhouse.
And or bingo, or bingo night.
Or bingo
Yeah.
night, which is Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, we try not to capture those anomaly.
Right, right.
So,
No, that's good. We saw that over there, so.
with the 97 ADT
Mhm.
and the 29 houses and three of us counted the different houses out there
Mhm.
and whether it's 28 or 29.
Different numbers, huh?
Yeah,
It's
there's,
close enough. I don't
it's
know.
close enough.
Yeah.
So with that rating, it would be rated as higher than other roads that we have there listed.
Per capita.
Um,
Yep.
we projected, we are waiting to do a traffic count on 65th West. We projected that there would be 200 vehicles a day. At 200 vehicles a day, Stoltenberg would still be higher.
Mhm.
We don't have High C River Road on here, nor do we have a traffic count on High C River Road. But there are only 3 homes on that road that could be added. So with the traffic study that we did, the traffic counts we did, Stoltenberg Lane does come in at the top of the list for gravel to oil rating.
Okay. That's helpful to know. I appreciate that.
So what does that mean? And rubber hits the ground.
Well,
No pun intended.
Yeah, yeah.
or hit the ground, if the commissioners choose to do a project based on these rankings, Stoltenberg would be at the top of the list.
Throughout the whole county,
Throughout
yeah.
Throughout the county where we have actually done traffic counts on gravel roads that have been requested at some time to go to an oil road.
Ours, stats, you said that's just an estimate, right? For 65th West.
That is an estimate because we haven't taken traffic counts because the bridges are still closed down.
Yeah.
We wanted to do a traffic count after the bridges are opened back up and get a more representative sample of what the traffic actually is.
Thank you.
So yeah, we agree, and I don't have any other questions on that. For us, it would just be any next steps or, yeah, just like you said, what does that mean for next steps on timing or budget or support or whatever we can do to help support making that happen?
Right.
Yep.
And from, I guess, my perspective, it's information to be used by the commissioners in deciding that priority. I know that in the current summer, we're at a point of time where we're not gonna be able to do a BST road at all this year.
Okay.
Just because of everything we've got stacked up. So if the commissioners choose to put money towards a road, turning it from gravel to an oil road, then I'd have to go back and try to schedule that in and see when that would happen.
With your current
Right now, it would
projects.
be at least next spring, summer.
Okay.
So is this a project that we would do with our staff or would we contract it out?
We would do most of this with our stuff. And that was the price that I gave to Mayor Manwaring, was for the county to perform that work.
Did you see the financial parts where,
Yeah, when Lance came and visited us earlier in the year, we had gone through
So this
the kind of most.
This was
recent
the
version of
latest
that.
price estimate that I had sent to. This is the latest price estimate that I had sent to Mayor Manwaring, $427,500.
okay. There was one that you sent out email wise that gave what they had contributed to plus what we had spent.
That was some different information, yes.
Okay, okay.
You guys don't have, you guys basically have a drop in this bucket, right, to contribute?
Yes, we do have more than we have had in past years because of our business tax or the, they call it the resort
Resort.
tax, there's a few different names, but. And so that's where, like I said, we are willing and would like to contribute even the lion's share to making this happen. Again, it's like you said, if for me, there's 29 houses, it's not. And I'm glad to see, with all the variables of houses versus traffic, like this is good to know as well, and it validates it. But a lot of it has come down to not only those requests, but also when we've looked at it, it is a unique road from a safety standpoint. It's just the way that the water tables and the base of that road are. It's kind of, it's a road where it's not just convenience or comfortable to have that road improved, but at some point, there's gonna be some rainy, mucky day where a fire truck can't get down there or emergency services or whatnot, and that causes bigger problems. And so yes, even though it's a big project for us, it'd be the biggest project Swan Valley's ever done in over 100 years. Even though it's a small road, that's a big deal. So, but yes, we would be willing to contribute a lion's share, and then I think any support from the county would be very welcomed and helpful. So,
And this is within the city of Swan Valley.
correct, yes. And again, it's that unique one where we talked about the county versus the city road and whatnot, but yes, it is in Swan Valley's, Swan Valley proper. in
So
terms
how
of the
much can you
limits.
guys contribute?
Um,
Can you say that now? Or when
I,
you say the lion's share, I'm like, yeah,
Sure.
that sounds good.
Listen,
That sounds like a deal.
I'm all for transparency on this stuff. When I've gone through some of this stuff, I think anything around 250,000. I think we could like say yes today. Now, that's not for me, that's for the council to
Right.
vote on, and so I can't represent their feelings, and I think this information and stuff is good for them to understand. When we were kind of pinching pennies and asking Lance a bunch of extra questions on timing and budget and draws and things like that. That's where we get into when we're looking at that total number going, gosh, like, is this something we can do over years, or is this something, And so I think if we were around that 250, and this is just, I don't know if I'm
Right.
supposed to kind of say those things, but knowing our budget, knowing kind of the averages of coming in, and then part of it, like we shared before, we don't know if that will maintain. I would hope for the city's benefit and for additional administrations down the road, that resort city tax stays.
Right.
Because
That's outside of
literally,
your control.
it's pretty much though 95% of any revenue that we get. And so that's kind of a scary part is, right, a lot of these budgets and stuff are fairly consistent. That's one that could go away, and if it did, it leaves us in a really precarious
You got
situation, and we've already spent a couple $100,000 on chapel, and so yeah, anyways, in kind of general notes, I think if we were there, we wouldn't even wince, we'd be appreciative to have the support, and we'd be willing to contribute that majority support. And so, I'd love to start there and see, and I have, for that matter, I've tried to look into and see, and with limited experience, but are there any grants? Are there anything else that we could throw in the mix to kind of help with everything. And I haven't come across anything in particular. You guys might have more experience or things we could, be directed to together. We're willing to support on whatever that is. If we need to get creative and help, then, I'll put in some time.
You're familiar with LTAC.
Yeah.
You've got some work through bridges, so they have a rural program within LTAC.
I've heard of this, yeah.
And so that rural program is another opportunity that you as the sponsor for that road could apply for funds.
Okay, and we will, like, I think that's the next steps discussion is if we were pointed in whatever direction that you're familiar with. But yeah, if we could contribute together, and then if there's something we could throw in there to kind of subsidize or even it out for everyone, I'm more than happy to. This is not a us versus the county in our mind. It's a win-win to get this road improved for everyone. And,
I will
But
tell
yeah.
you with that rural funding,
mhm,
you're going to have to contract out. And so most of the time, those are,
like the bridge project is,
well, so sort of like the bridge project, but there's different match requirements on some of the rural funds. And so you will probably have to contract with a contractor versus the county to do this road. And they would have to go through the engineering process and everything else. That process itself, even though the matches are a lot short or a lot lower,
mhm,
you could probably get 97 or 93% federal dollars, 7% match. And so the money that the city of Swan Valley would actually pay out would probably in the end be a lot less.
mhm.
It would take a lot longer probably to get there.
Yep. And that's, I think, if that's the case, that would be the only hesitancy is that, again, it's not just strictly from a comfort level, but from a safety level, as our fire district and sheriff's department have kind of voiced concern. And so totally understandable with the schedule of what you guys already have going on for this year. But that would be the final thing, is I would encourage if there's a way for us to prioritize that timing for as soon as it can be. I'm not saying drop everything you have on your plate and do it tomorrow, but if it's spring and we can make that work, we'd love to support that and get this project going, so.
I guess because I'm new at this. I don't have a problem prioritizing this. But I don't get the impression that you bring all of the possible projects to us for prioritization or not.
No, I don't.
You do it on your own.
Usually, yes. But this is a bit unique because it is not on our schedule to do.
It's the first time.
I've got a number of other road projects that to me in Bonneville County are probably a lot higher priority. This is a very high priority to the city of Swan Valley. But I have, 45th East, I have 5th and Holmes, I have 25th East and 49th North. We have Iona Road, we have First Street projects, 3 of those projects, we have Ammon Road. Those are down here where all the populace is. Those to me, to my perspective, are a higher priority.
So where this is a, short road. Is this something that would make sense to schedule along with other projects up in the Upper Valley? Does this require the same stuff that you have to have up there for the chip sealing or
For the chip sealing, it does, but this particular road to rebase it, and that's where most of the cost is in that first year to rebase it. We have to rent an excavator. We have to get different equipment up there to do this, because we have to go through and basically rebuild the road. But the second shot and the
right?
third shot, the second year, that can be scheduled in with what we're doing up in
Problem
the
with the road
area.
is actually the base. Needs to be brought up to standard.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, okay.
the first shot to get ready for it, $336,000. I mean, that's a huge portion of the
It's the-
427 was that to
Right.
go through, make that road have a base and have some drainage and.
So it can accept the hard top.
Yeah,
Is that 28 feet wide?
24,
It's 24.
yes, it is not 28. If you wanna go to 28, you're
That's,
gonna have a
that's,
bigger fight on it.
Inside joke, I get that.
Or I'll just add to bring it up.
Yeah.
Recently.
Probably be cutting into a protected wildlife, water, bird,
If we got wider,
yeah,
yeah,
we'll have to get all those agencies involved. And
That's where you're
That one.
contracting through
Red-
rural
yellow-headed
fund, would-
Blackbird would be asking for housing.
Yeah.
it would be wetlands for sure.
Yeah. Well,
So I don't know what we
what
do
you
next.
must accept, let's do this as soon as we can do it.
I mean,
We
but,
can,
one thing I hear is this is the highest priority based on the needs. And then I hear Lance say, but we've got all these others, so I don't.
This
for
is
this category.
this
Right.
is in the gravel road to oil ratings.
Okay,
It is ranked highest. It is not the highest priority road
Of any road.
in this small category. It is.
But that, it's not in the category with four-way intersections that
Right.
need to become traffic lights.
right.
So to me, this isn't an action item for us today. Basically, I think what you're
No, we're just giving
saying is
guidance to
encourage
get this done as
to-
quickly as possible.
explore that, I.
Schedule.
LTAC.
LTAC, yeah.
Is this one that LTAC cost 4 times more than? Because we'd be
Probably.
going to their
Well,
standards on
compared
stuff
with the
and-
427, if you contracted this out, yes,
It's
it
at
would
least gonna
probably
be
be
double.
5 times that.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
And timing, that's the big one for us.
Would be
Like, I
5
wouldn't,
years.
I wouldn't hesitate
LTAX
to
would
explore
be-
that, cause it could financially be better, but it could take 3-4 years.
So the rural program, and you'll have to
Yeah.
check with LTAC whether they're gonna actually have application seasons this fall. Usually they put them out in November.
Mhm.
And, but yeah, for a rural program, it could be a little bit quicker than the urban program. The urban program is, I'm trying to put projects in there and
In
try
the
to deal with
pipeline
stuff
for-
that's already past 2030.
Yep. Well, here's
Yeah.
part of it, with our funds for the resort city tax, part of that, a big part of that that's encouraged is to be able to contribute towards some of these improvements
Yeah.
that otherwise we wouldn't be able to do. And so, again, if it's something where long-term, if it was just me, 5 years, I don't,
Right.
but again, then it's also, we get that one accident, that one fire they can't get to. And it changes the whole dynamic of it. And so I think for us, we'd be willing to, again, contribute that larger amount to have this done sooner and to be able to work with the county on it,
So we,
benefits.
so we could encourage you to move towards getting this on the schedule for spring.
And
So-
I can do that, it will affect the budget. And the budget numbers for Road and Bridge. That was not one of the projects that I put in to the budget. So,
so when would you know, as far as for the city, what your contribution could be? I mean, how soon could that happen that you could tell the county? Hey, I've talked with the city council, this is what we're approved to contribute to the project.
We could do that as soon as the next council meeting, cause I don't think, it's not one that needs a public hearing. It's just, a city project where the council can be presented the information available. They can vote on it. It is amount large enough that does need to be definitely voted on and approved by the city council. So, again, I'm throwing that out there where, yes, without officially giving that approval process, we've talked with the council enough. Lance has been there with us a few times. I think at that level, I think we'd be willing to say right away, yes, we can contribute that much. And then, we'd move forward on that right away. So And not to, leave any, extra, like selfishly, obviously, we'd love to be able to be as frugal as we can on this. I do think if it was, let's call it 25 to 50,000, give or take on that, I'm just offering it as a gesture. I think it's still in that range where it's priority. We really do want to get it done and we want to support it. And so, yeah, I think that'd be conversation for you guys as Road and Bridge and as a county to say, are we able to kind of contribute that difference in partnership? But yeah, if you needed something officially from us in terms of we will contribute this much. And that would be, again, without having to split it up across multiple years or anything. That would be an upfront contribution to be, especially to what Lance has told us, the big part of that is that upfront base stuff.
Yep.
And so, and that's not something from what Lance explained that it really works for them to split over multiple years.
Right.
And so, materials change and budgets change. And so as we could within literally the next 1 to 2 months max. At least vote on and commit to saying, yes, we will contribute this much. And being able to do that.
And I think that's what,
That's
I
what
mean,
would help you.
that's what we would need to know, is this is what the city's willing to contribute.
Yep.
So that we know, okay, if we go ahead and put this on the schedule, this is the amount of money
That
we
you
have
have to
to
work
come up with to be able
Yep.
to finish this project, and do we wanna do that or not?
If that's the case, I will get this on the agenda. I'll get this on the agenda immediately for our next meeting. And I'm just going to encourage and talk with the city and suggest, knowing our budget and our financials, I'll suggest a maximum amount that we could, comfortably contribute right now without putting the city in a bad situation one way or another. And then I can at least bring that approval to you guys to say, here's what we've said that we can do, and that gives you something concrete to plan around. So I'll commit to doing that, and I think our meeting is July, second Monday in July, so we are
And
the
timing for me would be, most likely it would be,
14th.
we would start working on it about this time next year.
Okay. So I will, after the meeting on the 14th, one way or the other, again, I can't confirm or control the council in any way, but I will, after the 14th, report back to the same people on this meeting agenda and let you know of a confirmed decision one way or the other. If for some reason they don't support to move forward on that, we'll start from there. But it's my understanding, knowing what's been discussed up to this point, that they do want to support that. And so I would think that they're willing and wanting to. So I'll report back after that. And then once we give you that paper and say we're committed, let us know, let's talk next steps and figure out things for schedule, or is there anything else that would be helpful for us to support in thinking ahead or whatever else.
So you get that city council action and then call Ashley and get on our calendar for Road and Bridge again.
Okay, yep, will do.
See.
And I'll,
Starting in July, they'll be on Tuesdays, not Wednesdays.
okay, I remember here, we had the mix up on the thing and got that figured out.
Got canceled and re-invited.
Yep, that's totally fine. So I'll follow up by email even prior, and then I'll get on the agenda so we can just review anything that needs to be done. That's all I have for me. I appreciate it. Appreciate the quickness and getting that traffic study done. I can tell you there's a few residents that I didn't even know that the counter had been put out there, and I had 3 or 4 people calling and going, hey, great news. And I said, what? And they were appreciative to see quick action and something happening. So just know that even those little things have gone a long way. And my hope is to just continue to keep that support and positivity so that we do have a great relationship, and that there's gonna be other things. There's gonna be things like crushes and this and that. And I'm just telling you, it's our intention and hope to support and not hinder in any way. And so anyways, that's appreciated.
Obviously, with this neighborhood, one of the things that would make a long-term improvement would be the second access into that neighborhood, which
Yes, we do have a couple spots that have come up in past things, and no one's ever happy when something changes.
Oh.
But we do have a couple spots that have basically, an easement that would allow access, and people aren't happy about that, but there are some things we can consider down the road, so, and I think.
Sure, your planning and zoning is different to make sure that they don't allow any more.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Yep, there's been some cleanup, and we're doing what we can, so.
That.
Anything else
neighborhood
before I?
stuff There's not in Swan Valley.
No.
Yeah, have Jay send me an email.
I will,
and figure
we'll do
something
the
out, so,
impact stuff.
okay,
Hey, thank
So
you,
one that has, one that did come up is Fox Creek. Swan Valley annexed the stuff west of Fox Creek, but not the stuff east of
East.
Fox Creek. So it's like there's Swan Valley and then this strip county and then Swan Valley.
We could pull out
On the other side of the road, so-
it's literally like
So cleaning those up is.
Yeah.
Yes, helpful.
Agreed.
Thank you. Thanks for bringing
Okay.
Good
yep,
to see ya.
Thanks for all your
the
help.
history back.
Yes, no, that was fun to read. See you guys.
Hey, going to order, but I wouldn't let me open it on this.
I have a hard copy here, if you wanna see it,
We will need a hard copy.
walk it down.
Good for you.
So this is on 25th East, 49th North. When they took off the asphalt, and were preparing to go back, there were some soft spots. We hadn't even planned on too many soft spots, but because there were, we put geotextile fabric underneath those soft spots and brought it back up. This is to pay for the geotextile fabric.
Are we supposed to sign the authorized representative signature?
On the first page, the authorized representative, yeah.
We need to make a motion.
Yeah.
Make a motion to sign change order number 3. On 25th East and 49th North project. Increasing the amount by $3,188.90.
All in favor?
On this project, I will also tell you that next week, I will be bringing to you information that, coming back from the engineering firm that we have doing compression engineering. The asphalt was put back. The asphalt looks really good, but it did not have enough asphalt content in it. And so the engineer is recommending doing a deduct because of the asphalt content, and I have that information for you in a memo. So next week, we'll be and maybe having a change order also with that, but it will be probably have a change order after the fact if you agree to accept the deduction that the construction engineering inspection engineer recommends.
What does that mean for the intersection? Does it change the grade of it, or what?
It doesn't change the grade of it. What it means is in the asphalt itself, there wasn't quite enough
So it doesn't
asphalt
last.
oil content. The amounts. It gets into questions that it didn't meet specifications. So whether it lasts a year less on a 30-year lifespan, maybe. There's a hard way to quantify that. It's just, it didn't meet the specification. And since we're trying to do this according to ITD specifications. To possibly turn this over to ITD in the future, we want to be as close to what ITD would do as we can. And that's what ITD would do is if it doesn't meet the specifications, if it's too low, they said, well, we're not gonna pay you 100% for that asphalt.
You can't just say, go fix it.
At this point, to go fix it would be to go tear it all out and redo it.
Yeah.
And that. That is a,
So what? we let
That
it
is an
wear
option.
off And then we'll fix it?
what's that?
We let it wear off and then we'll
No.
fix it?
You actually go in
Well, I
and
mean,
rip it out.
now, if
Now,
we're gonna pay them less for doing it, and then we
You
just,
just
it wears out
take it what it-
sooner and we.
yeah, you just accept it the way it is with the deduct. You don't pay as much for it.
How often does stuff like that happen where they don't do it to what the specification is?
Quite often. Usually when it's our own spec, we'll work with them and either get a longer warranty period. Depending on how bad it is, we might make them tear it out and redo it. There's a lot of different options that we have available. On the ones on 45th West that we redid out there, they had a section that we got a 3-year warranty instead of a 1-year warranty. So there's a lot of different players.
Yeah, is there a? Do you keep track of contractors that, or do they have repeat issues with, certain?
All of
contractors?
them,
They all do.
yeah.
Hmm.
They all have issues at certain times with certain things. I mean, this year we've heard that one of the contractors, half his good paving crew went to another contractor this year. So they're struggling with their crews this year when now their competition has their good crew and they're doing better this year. So
All about personnel.
Always fluid, yeah.
Hey.
we've already talked about, Hammond Elementary,
Yes,
unless you wanted
I
something
guess we need
else.
to finalize that. Are they coming to you?
They phoned in yesterday and we didn't know anything about it, so we just wanted to make sure and talk to you about it before.
So. You have a recommendation?
Was it the school district that asked for it?
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have a practice of giving discounts to government entities, do we? We can charge the city of Idaho Falls for their dumpsters the same price we do business.
I was gonna say with School District 93 with their permits, we charge them just like anybody else, and we've had the same argument before of.
Yeah.
Well, you're taking taxpayer dollar bond money and putting it back into taxpayer dollars, and we're like, yeah, but it's. The appropriation of moving it from one bucket to another, because you're asking for that money and you still have to provide us with the money to be able to perform the services.
And my argument to that
Yeah.
was, you're asking us to do exactly the same thing, only worse, by asking us to donate this to you, we're requiring all of the residents of Bonneville County who are not in your school district
To
to
subsidize.
subsidize what the school district is.
So that's what we've always helped do with them on permits when they've
And
asked.
we
Yeah,
have
makes
helped
sense.
them out a lot on
Yeah,
49th North, because we've agreed to do that. They're not gonna have to pay Rocky Mountain Power a huge bill.
The
to move
school
the power.
district, the school district.
Yeah.
93.
Yeah,
So,
what, $3 million?
we've always just told them we treat them the same.
Probably not
Okay,
quite that
well,
much, but
We'll
I
have
bet
my
it'll
attorney
save
call,
us.
see what he wants to do.
close
Who
to
called, do you know?
Mr. Pim,
John Pym,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah, that's who I've dealt with, and they'll be fine with it.
He wants me to return his call, I'm guessing
is that John Pym?
it's, I haven't looked at that phone.
That's what it was about, yeah, the call that you guys got yesterday, and it was about that, so.
Yeah.
You can call.
Okay.
Just, I mean, totally up to you guys.
Oh, no.
And then
That's
Phil,
totally the right thing to do.
But let us, let us know if
we just didn't have any
some
idea.
adjustment or change.
That's, well, and the other,
So we can let
the
you
other
know.
thing about it is, so they're doing Ammon, they're also doing Bonneville High School, a huge remodel project that they're taking out all the lockers, all the material in there. They're also doing stuff at Rocky Mountain Middle School, all three of which we have permits for. So you say yes to Ammon and you're gonna get the same call about Bonneville and you're gonna get the same call about Rocky Mountain.
And that does, that definitely.
So it's gonna add up
And then
too.
Idaho Falls School District, and then
Yeah,
I mean, they gotta balance their budget, we gotta balance ours.
Right.
And we've got to pay to move someday.
And,
Part of that funding goes.
well, we want to
Finding
extend
a
that
place
as
to
much as
live.
possible, but filling it with huge construction projects is not gonna extend the life.
And maybe remind him of what Lance said, that we saved him a bunch of money on which school is.
49th North, that new elementary.
Yeah, that'd be good to bring that up.
I was here for that.
Couple $1 million.
Blair, if you get something like that in the future, if you just say, hey, tell them, about our meeting, maybe invite them to come to this meeting or.
Well,
I
we
get-
didn't invite him to this meeting, okay, this.
I kinda wanna talk
yeah,
to Blair.
just
When
first, but-
when he called me, I always suggest, that's above my pay grade.
Which is why I called down here.
I said, you need to call
We talked
the
about it here before
commissioner's
I
office,
returned this call.
visit with them. I mean, we'll totally do what we're told to do, but we're not gonna cut it.
Sometimes.
Right.
Now, we've
So did you
swapped,
already talk to Mr.
we've swapped dirt.
No, there's no need to laugh at this discussion. To call.
Okay,
The new
So-
junior high over by the new high school, when they
Black
built that
Canyon.
new school, why they had a big pile of dirt there. So we took that dirt and then gave them disposal rights for the summer, that summer. And I'll make decisions like that, but not like this.
Yeah,
He wasn't asking for a tit for tat trade, he was asking for.
No, he just
gimme.
wanted to know if we could
Yeah.
let,
Gimme, gimme.
if there was some type of participation that the county would like to include in disposal, and I'm like, yeah, that one's.
also
that's
school
above me,
district
so-
91 needs money way worse than 93. So if I'm going to be subsidizing school districts, probably gonna be that.
so that's like if we did have a place that needed riprap or something,
Oh, yeah,
that might be
yeah.
a benefit, but yeah.
Yeah, we've worked.
We'd
out
rather
here
not
for
have it in the
about-
landfill,
Right,
which is why, I mean, they need to know there's private landfills, maybe they can work a better deal with them.
Well, and they may, they may make that call.
Yeah,
They may
I mean, we
call,
don't care if they
dump
don't
it.
bring it to us, do we?
No, no,
Yeah.
we don't.
We're not seeking. Bill,
Yeah, that's.
maybe if they're gonna rebuild the Teton Dam, they'd have a place for all
Yeah, let's not do that.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thanks, you guys.
I have some more information for you. It's not action items, but I'll probably want some direction from you. I own a road. Because when we talked last time about the right of way issues, I went ahead and told the title company to go ahead and close. That last parcel is closed now. So the next question is, do you want to go out to bid on that road construction project?
that.
And
When is the right time to go bid? Now or November?
November.
well, November, anytime after October, the contractors have slowed down enough that they can give more priority to it. But you could also bid now and see whether or not you give them a long enough time to start. And say, we're not planning on starting until October, November, you may get some interest that way. It depends on if you want them to start right away.
It would be
This is
really
a
nice
fact.
if we could get it done. And not have the project open all winter long and clear into July of the next year, because
A better time to bid would be October then.
What is that project again?
It is to widen Iona Road from Ammon Road to 45th East
and the bridge,
and two bridges.
yeah, so. And that's, you want the same contractor doing the whole thing?
Generally works better that way, yeah.
Do we wanna do that during school?
You have to do the bridges during school time because you have to do it, the bridges during water out.
Right.
But a lot of the other road projects you could do without being in
Do we
school.
wanna wait until the first day of school? Close all the roads.
The
In
other,
and out.
the other thing to think about with bidding, if you can get a bid out, and I don't know if it's reasonable, but if you could do the bridges in the fall. Then you're ready to go with the road project for next year instead
in the
of
spring,
waiting for
yeah.
the spring for them to do the bridges and then
Yeah.
decide they have a bunch of delay and we can't even get the project started.
So
till
that's
The
where,
following year.
if you want them to start right away on the road project, this is probably not the right time to bid. If we say the road project can happen, some of the road project can happen in the fall, the bridges happen in the fall. And then in the summer, spring of summer, 26, you do the road project. I think you could get some bids depending on when you put those dates
I
in the
think that
contract.
would certainly work better with the school travel, especially with the elementary school in there.
Well, on Iona, yeah, I mean, Iona's got some elementaries off of it too, but,
That's what I mean.
and Rocky Mountain Middle
Elementary
School,
schools
yeah.
there. Iona.
The nice thing is with the bridges, if they at least don't do them both at the same time, you have enough inter travel roads in the neighborhood that you can still get to and from the schools. So that's why I think it might be advantageous to try to do them in the fall.
Well, and it seems like we've had a lot of delay with bridges, so if we plan on doing them in the fall and they have delays, then
Catching up.
maybe we'll be ready to roll in the spring.
We should be done with those roads out west, shouldn't we? Is that what you said?
They're not done, yet. They're paved.
You don't jinx this with
They're
that.
paved, but they haven't opened them to the public yet, and I don't have a good reason why.
Yeah.
So we can, again, I think getting with the engineer, going out to bid, we'll bid basically in the month of July. We'll put some contract stagger times in there. I think we can probably get some
Maybe
good
get them
things.
after it. Okay,
Okay, next is Bear Creek Road. So next week, you will see on the agenda that the Forest Service has sent us an agreement. And that agreement, the way I read it, is a reimbursement agreement up to a certain amount. But, they have the funding in there that they will reimburse us up to a certain amount. So take a look at that information. It should be in packets for you to look at, so.
I saw that. But that doesn't mean the grant money is available to us or anything, does it?
It means that if you spend the money, they'll reimburse you up to that level.
so yeah, it means they can disperse.
They're not gonna cut a check.
Is
They're
that
gonna
what
let
it
us-
means?
How
Was
much
that
is
the
it?
original plan or is
Well,
it their
they're-
backdoor approach to make it look like we're doing
How much
something
should
and we
they get
still don't have the
reimbursed?
money?
825,000 is what the agreement currently said.
Is this how it's usually done, is with this kind of
There's not a
reimbursement?
huge,
There's been various different ways. Reimbursement is a way. So when we did the paving of that road, it was through a flat grant. And then that instance, they gave us the check up front and helped pay for it. So I've seen it where they have money up front. I've seen it where they have reimbursement. I've seen it where
So
there's
my question is, currently with the federal government, how confident are we that we will actually get a reimbursement?
if you sign this agreement, I think I'm pretty confident that you'll get up to the 825,000.
yeah, since we have the legislator on the finance committee and the legislator on the
They,
public land.
this,
committee.
this sign.
Chair.
Yeah,
The chair of both those committees.
I think with the signed agreement, you'll get up to the 825.
You're saying we can
That's-
count on the word of
that's
the
a
federal
patch.
government at this point in time, because that's my concern. We all went through that
Sure.
this spring.
Isn't that
As
language?
much
you
as I've
use?
ever
Sure.
trusted any
Sure.
federal government.
That leaves the door wide open, sure.
I think with the signed agreement, you have a lot more.
I'd love to get that project done. I do not want to be stuck with $1 million bill for it, but
We could take it to court if they didn't.
yeah, that would,
The government.
we would have the US
Saying the
attorney on our
government-
So
side, though.
did they give us a reason as to why they didn't wanna give us the money up front?
It's not the attorney general.
All I
Or
go,
the-
I finally got his agreement.
The agreement
It's
just
like,
came through
the
that way.
agreement came through that way. That's what I look at. you know.
They-
That's because they're not sure when they're gonna get the money, so they're leaving.
Yeah, that's what I
That's your
wondered.
thing
It
again.
does have a drop dead date that we have to get it done by
Yes.
December 31st of 2027 in there. So maybe they're hedging their bets about how long they'll have to actually get us money back.
It's like,
Each,
it's not US Attorney General. It's
No.
for this.
each district has a US attorney. And then you have the organization of the Attorney General's office in TC, which is different.
So that
It's
says
side by
that.
side, yeah.
Next is County Line Road. It's coming up on the 6 months from when,
Yeah, and we're supposed to meet with somebody from DMPO to talk about that. Are they coming to?
No, we're supposed to meet with ITD and
Oh,
Jackson
ITD,
County.
my mistake.
This was
When
about
is that?
the easement,
That's-
right?
It's
The
about that
nail companies,
long-term plan to improve.
well, and they were going to apply for some grants. I don't think they have. I don't.
Sure.
So again, it's coming up on the 6 month
Yeah.
delay that we had there.
Yeah.
So if we're going to try to do something with that, the plans probably need to be
have you talked
finalized.
to anybody? Have you talked to
No.
Jefferson or ITD?
No, and I wouldn't be talking with either one of them. I would be the canal company
Yeah,
who requested you
that's
to
really
delay.
where it landed because they wanted to work with us.
Yeah, and when I,
They haven't contacted me and I haven't bothered to reach out to Stan Hawkins either, so.
when I talked to Scott, I suggested that, and he's like, no, we don't want the town company there for this meeting, so.
So when is this meeting? Cause I don't.
That's- So you're invited as well, David.
What meeting is that?
And you,
Meeting
with
with
ITD
us
and
and
Jeffco.
ITD and Jefferson.
Okay.
County.
for the one that we talked
Here.
about, no, I think it's supposed to be up there. At
Yes.
ITD,
It's July.
But that one is specifically about the intersection of Old Yellowstone Highway, isn't it?
Yes.
That's not about
That's-
the canal
no,
down.
but it's gonna, I think we're gonna discuss that, what the options are for
Okay.
that, so.
So July 16th, Ashley, will you send me that information, please?
Yeah, 2
Yeah, I
o'clock,
can't
right?
remember if I have it
So we
or
need to
not.
add something to the agenda for that? Is that what we're saying?
Well, if,
Or
If
if this
two of-
meeting is for the intersection by the,
by the Old Yellowstone Highway and
Yeah.
County Line, so.
if this meeting is about that, then we need to,
We
it
wanna
seems like-
tell them we wanna talk
Yeah.
about that.
we don't wanna walk into that meeting and say, oh, and by the way.
Yeah,
He put in his notes, it says, this is a follow-up meeting regarding County Line Road. Transportation improvements.
and that was
Okay.
specifically for the intersection. And of Highway 20 and stuff.
Okay.
So it sounds like we need to clarify with them that we want to talk about either
County Line Road
County
out
Line
the right.
Road, the whole road and that improvement. Or the intersection, or both if they want, but we want to talk about County Line Road. But we all need to be clear, they especially need to be clear that we want to talk about County Line Road, or we don't get with them.
Meeting with them to talk about. Not,
What?
wasn't this, they asked, isn't this?
With the intersection.
County Line Road?
Yeah,
Well, they were talking about County Line Road, but specifically that intersection with Highway 20 and the railroad tracks and everything there.
Yeah.
It wasn't about
The length of the
possibly
road.
widening out County Line Road to make a better
Or
thoroughfare
is
for
it
the
on the
truck.
agenda?
well, I
and
think
says
that's what
County
it was
Line Road?
about too, is that
Yeah.
as well,
that's what I
so
thought.
I think it's both things.
As long as it's
my
agenda,
understanding.
so we're both loose enough, we can do that.
Okay. Next thing I wanna ask about is Birch Creek Road, Birch Creek Ranch subdivision. And where part of that road is potentially falling off the
Oh,
mountain.
that's the one that you were gonna talk to them about taking as a private road.
Yeah, well, the
Any
convers,
response?
I had no response on that, no. So, we
They're
had,
trying to sell the whole subdivision.
Why?
Hmm.
Isn't there somebody who lives up there
nobody lives in that subdivision. Nobody,
in their house?
no
Who? I
houses.
thought there was a couple of
No,
buildings,
there's nothing up there.
just you drive down a really bad dirt road and get to a nice paved road and.
To another gravel road.
Yeah, but I had somebody call me about purchasing the whole thing and was asking me about the road and,
Well,
but that's
yeah.
been a couple months ago too.
So again, there's a portion of the paved road that's about ready to fall off the mountain.
Yeah.
So is this up Antelope Flats or where?
It's towards that, so if you go up East Birch Creek to the top of the hill,
Where do you turn on East Birch Creek?
just by McMurtry Road. Just past the rest stop,
On Highway 26.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you
I'm just trying to get a starting point.
turn, go up Moss Avery Road and then turn onto Birch Creek, or, yeah, East Birch Creek, so. We had a proposal being proposed from JB Engineering to do some more investigation and more geotechnical and more design, but we kind of put that on hold a while ago, cause it wasn't a huge priority, cause there's nobody that lives up there.
Yeah.
But I haven't received any calls in the last few months of people trying to get building permits, but I know last year we had a number. And I've always told them, you can't get a building permit. You can't get a building permit on the gravel portion because it was supposed to be paved. You can't get a building permit on the paved portion because of the safety issue of part of
Supposed
the
to be
road.
gravel.
Did we pave that or did they?
No, the developer
No.
paved
Okay.
3 miles.
I mean, that's what it
road.
sounds like. Like they wanted to show everybody they were doing something and it was pointless.
Yeah, put that on your list of places to go for a drive and look.
It's an
Yeah.
interesting drive.
So what do you need from us?
I want you to maybe even to go drive it and say, how much of priority is this to actually do a repair?
Yeah,
Because if the subdivision gets sold to somebody else, they're gonna come back and say, well, you gotta maintain that road. And there's a portion of it that needs a lot of money to fix it.
Yeah, I'm not at all interested in cleaning up after that developer, but.
We have accepted the paved
Yeah,
portion.
that's the problem.
Okay, but does that mean we have to keep it paved for the rest of forever? I mean, can't we just deprioritize it so that it's,
You could probably do that as the commissioners to make that decision.
I don't understand
The
what you're
problem is
asking
the
us.
road from 26 to that paved section's a bad road.
Okay, but I don't understand what,
I wanna know whether you want JUB to continue moving forward with an engineering design.
who's JB?
JUB is an engineering firm
Okay,
that's worked on that section and other sections for us before.
okay.
So for
when you
them
s-
to do the design for us to,
Yeah,
For us to come up with a fix of the road.
we don't understand what you mean by continue moving forward. So
They did some
We're getting-
preliminary investigations,
when was that?
4 years ago,
time.
5 years ago, 6 months ago?
4 years ago, probably.
Okay,
And at that time, it was put on hold after the preliminary investigation showed that it was gonna take close to $1 million to fix the road.
okay. Sounds like you should stay on hold.
Not the paved section,
This is the paved section.
not the section where gravel one that goes from
No,
26 over is
No,
falling off.
this is just the paved corner that's sloping
That's
off, that's
bluffing
it,
off, yeah,
so it's not much at all.
but it's on the side of it. Mountain.
Fortunately, we accepted it and shouldn't have. Well, we'll drive up there. We'll have a field trip day. Drive up there and have a look.
It is a very unusual subdivision. It has its own lake.
Probably get Doyle back to take
Who
it
was
on his
the-
helicopter.
There you go.
Who was the developer?
Sanders, was it?
I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
He made a grand amount of money selling a company and had to do a tax shelter and did this whole subdivision and paid for 3 miles of pavement and basically walked away from it after that, so.
Yeah, it'd be rough, wouldn't it? Have that kind of money.
Had to show a loss.
Those kind of folks
He's
usually don't.
been showing a lot.
Right,
Next, High C River Road, do you want me to do a traffic study on there and add it into the gravel to oil matrix? I mean, do you want me to do that?
I sent an email to Sydney Decker saying to let us know if she wants us to do anything. But it's how many houses along there? 4 or,
Two,
yeah. That's the kind of thing that we're just gonna say.
That's not the property owner. I
What do you,
said to you know, the,
yeah, it is. Harry Martin
yeah.
Harry Myers
Harry
property.
is the one complaining. Sydney,
Sydney Decker's with.
Sydney's been
So,
in the middle of it. And so Lance tried to contact them
I did get
again.
a hold of her phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
and what did she say then?
It sounded like she was out of state and hadn't even been up there to see. And when I told her we put mag chloride down, she said, thank you for fixing the road. So,
So that's why I just landed it back in Sydney's court. We've done all we can. The road looks just fine.
legislators and all.
And I told her, you know, it sounds like they may have a postal delivery contractor problem too. I don't know. That's not my problem.
yeah,
But, so I
She
told her
said
to
she
let
was
us
gonna
know.
call the postal service and yank their chain for a while.
That's what she can do.
Yeah.
But I didn't think there was anything else we needed to do, and I just emailed her this morning and told her that.
So my question is, do I do a
No.
tube count on there?
Don't do anything else until we hear back from Sydney if she wants us to do something, but
Okay,
it looks just fine, and I'm not really responding to part-time residents of Bonneville County who.
okay. The last piece of information I'll share with you is at 5th and 49th South, that signal project, right-of-way negotiations are basically stalled out. But, the packet information has gone out there. Because it's stalled out, I did write a letter to LTAC saying that Bonneville County is okay with them swapping the funds from fiscal year 2025 to fiscal year 2026. Otherwise, I would have to have the right of way complete and done by July 4th, and there's no way that's happening.
Why have they stalled out? What do you mean by that?
So mostly the property owner on the southeast side contacted an attorney and won't talk to the right of way agent about what's going on there.
Who's the attorney?
Mendon Hall is a.
It's-
So,
I
I mean,
don't
can't the
follow.
right of way agent talk to the attorney?
Yes, and the attorney isn't doing anything without saying, well, I need to talk to my client, and so that's it.
Who is the attorney?
I don't recall off the top of my head.
When do you get Weston involved?
I
Is he,
won't get Weston involved unless it goes further, unless there's some sort of a claim against the county that comes back. And that's when I would typically get Weston involved.
well, what if the attorney continues to not respond next year or over the winter?
I will, well. I don't know. I don't know the
We
answer.
need to contact Weston if they're just stalling the project. We're not gonna let them
Okay.
stall the project.
I will check with the right of way agent and see if he's had any contact. If he hasn't, I'll try to get him, put together a time frame and I'll get that information away.
Cause it's, you know, if we can't make the timeline now, great, but we're not gonna take, oh, we've got an attorney, and they won't talk to us. We gotta keep moving on it or we'll be in the same position next year. And if that means getting Weston with their attorney, then that's what we need to do, but we can't just. I mean, it sounds like it's absolutely appropriate to delay it right now, but we can't just
Yeah.
not, do
Well, in fiscal year 2026 starts October 1st,
it, right?
so, I mean. They
I've
could,
learned that much here.
yeah, well, that's for ITD too. That's, I was ITD's
Yeah.
stuff, so
Most state things are July 1st, but they're different. right?
this one seems to be different. Okay. I think that's all I have.
I have one quick question.
Cause this guy has a gun and you don't.
We're at the landfill are trying to make a couple of equipment decisions. And it all hinges on what you're gonna do with our budget this next year.
We can't
I
tell
have
you
no
that.
ideas.
Yeah, we have no idea. We still don't know
We don't have
revenues yet.
revenues, so
But are we
we
just,
know what everybody wants.
do we just press
Right.
forward like we're going to operate? I mean, you're gonna fund. We're gonna shut down October 1st or are we gonna budget? I mean, you gotta.
So what
give
is it
something,
you're
I gotta
asking?
make
What
some
is it you're
decisions
asking?
here. Well, I need to make some.
We're gonna keep the
future-
lights on.
I
We're gonna
need,
keep
yes,
putting
we're gonna
gas in
keep the
things.
lights on, or we're gonna.
You're
I
gonna
need to
get
make
at
some
least
real
what
We
you
don't
do.
know about, we
I
don't,
need to
we
know.
don't know
better.
about revenue for asks. So anything that's in your budget that you're asking for increases to cover this or to buy that, no new pickup. Not until we get
No,
the
not-
answer.
I'm not worried about the new pickup, but what I'm worried about is
It'll
we
be
need,
at least
we
as
need
much
to
as last
make
year.
some decisions that affect the future of the landfill. And part of that is, are you at least going to budget,
What we had
agree to a budget of what we had at least last year
We're
with
not
no
looking
increase?
at cutting,
We do not intend to cut
we
it.
don't intend to cut anything. We just don't know how much.
And,
we
and
can-
I'm, and this doesn't have anything to do with the increases, it's just operational
If this
expenses.
is regular ongoing,
I think would, yeah,
but not any.
it's not an.
Not any increases,
Doesn't have
then,
anything to do with the increase.
then,
So if you
Then-
fund what we had last year,
yeah,
that answers.
Yes.
We
that's the
anticipate
question.
being able to
yes.
do that.
Okay. So I'll press forward with that understanding that you'll at least finance
and we keep pressing
those.
to
in
get an answer to the funding question so that we can answer your question. And until the checks in the bank, you don't know how much we have to spend on.
You have
the
checks that come
budget.
into the bank?
Taxes, yes.
Yeah, a whole bunch of them according to.
taxes,
Well, that's. Oh, in your
All
case,
right.
it's all fees. You
That's
need to
right,
raise
Paul.
your fees.